more information so they can make decisions. But it does
Here
not
it
mean,
is.
that
The
I am
news
not
about the
engaged, and it
coronavirus.
does not mean that I will not in the future make decisions.
That's right.
If I think those decisions are
The
needed,
news about the
to protect
coronavirus.
the state of Ohio. So I am just as much engaged today, and I'm just as much willing to make decisions that will be unpopular with many to protect human life in the state of Ohio. But I do think it's important that as we go through this process in a democracy, in a republic, that we share as much information as we can with the public. And so this is data that when we started this, we didn't really have. We didn't have the ability to pull all this data down. Now we do, and shame on us if we don't share that with the people of the state of Ohio, so that they can turn to their local officials and say, "Hey, what are you doing?" As I said, 3 mayors that I talked about, I think are to be commended for what they're doing. I think it's the right thing to do, but no one should mistake this as me backing off because we just have to keep moving forward. So we're going to continue to look at these numbers. We're going to continue to look at what needs to be done and take the appropriate action when it is in fact needed.
Hey, thank you, Governor.
Adrienne Robbins with NBC4. Governor, thank you for being here as always. Childcare was an issue back when schools originally closed, and now parents are looking at a possibility of a blended schedule this fall. I understand that the state is thinking of ways to help the schools with these costs, but are you or the General Assembly thinking of a way to help parents so that they don't have to make the choice between childcare or their jobs?
Yeah, we are reviewing the child care situation. Quite candidly, we're waiting for a study to be concluded that we've been participating in with a professor, and wanted to kind of see what that data is. Throughout this, we have tried to balance the safety of children in child care, but not just children. It's the safety of the caregivers, those who are out there every single day taking care of kids. And we're worried about, frankly, their safety, as well as the safety of these children. So we're waiting till we get a little more data. As you know, what we did, we had child care open up back up, but with reduced ratios. And our theory was that this would lessen the chance that someone would get sick. And we've had some people get sick, kids get sick, we've had caregivers get sick, but we thought, and still believe, that will reduce it. But we're going to wait. We should be getting some early indications from this study. It may not be published, but some indication. And at that point, which we don't think will be too long, 10 days maybe or so, at that point, we'll make the decision in regard to if we open up child care in the sense of allowing child care with bigger ratios, higher ratios. We've cut the ratios down, which has been, I think, the complaint. Our answer is we cut them down to try to protect kids and try to protect caregivers, but we also know that there's some people out there who can't get it now, and so we have to deal with that as well. We have to try to come up with a balance. So 10 days or so, we should be able to let you know and let everybody know about that.
Jack Windsor, WMFD-TV in Mansfield. Governor, my question is for you. It's going to be...
So hey Jack, hold on a minute. So I just want to say that the viewers cannot see your flag. Is that, looks like the Ohio pennant there. Looks good.
It is, yes sir.
All right, it looks good. I didn't want anybody at TV, they're missing seeing that. So I wanted to congratulate you and say happy 4th of July to everybody, of course. So go ahead, Jack.
Happy Independence Day to you, sir. Thank you. My question's going to be very lengthy, so I hope you'll be patient, because I think what I'm going to ask will deserve that context, sir. In April, I asked you and Dr. Acton about antibody testing. At that time, tests in California, Florida, and New York showed that 5% to 15% of Ohioans could have already had COVID prior to lockdowns and all other measures that we've taken. Dr. Acton estimated out of the gate that 100,000 of us were infected, and that another time 15% of us were. Dr. Acton announced that we would be conducting our own statewide antibody testing study, and that we should have had results by the end of May. Last week, the CDC announced a national antibody testing result of 6% on average in each state. In the case of Ohio, that would mean at least 700,000 people have antibodies.
Here it
Again,
is.
prior to shutting down schools and businesses.
The news
Despite
about
this,
the
we never saw
coronavirus.
a mass surge in hospitalization
That's right.
that threatened to
The
overwhelm
news
our
about the
capacity before
coronavirus.
lockdown started. Based on Dr. Acton's early projections, the early antibody testing, and the recent national antibody studies, when you combine that with 22 major countries in Europe and elsewhere that sent kids back to school in May and reported 0 spikes in transmission from kids to adults, it seems that all scientific indicators show us that while we may see periodic spikes in sickness and even some deaths, that there simply is no justification for any ongoing government interference in normal school and business activities. There's more negative impact to kids through hybrid schedules, or in the case of Columbus City Schools, the recommendation that high school aged learning be online. Governor, the public wants to know, how can we justify an ongoing declaration of a health emergency based on small upticks in sickness or hospitalization that's not close to threatening our hospital capacity? Secondly, could you update us on the results of the antibody study? And does it make sense to say that 700,000 Ohioans, minus those who passed away prior to March, should be considered recovered as well?
Well, Jack, thank you. I've asked the Lieutenant Governor to look into this whole area, but let me just start by saying a couple of things. Kids should go back to school. That's the whole thrust of what we said today. And you pointed out some of the dangers, and the pediatricians have pointed out some of the dangers of having kids not in school. And so we certainly agree that kids need to go back to school. We're going to continue to monitor the hospital numbers. I don't think that even you and I would disagree with what the hospital numbers are.
Here it
these
is.
come from each hospital where
The
they tell you
news about
basically
the
how many beds
coronavirus.
they have in ICU left and how many beds they have,
That's right.
general beds
The
they have.
news about the
And
coronavirus.
so we're going to continue to monitor that. We are certainly seeing an uptick in central Ohio, which means the Columbus, basically, the Columbus hospitals, at least for the people who are more sick. Many of them will end up in the Columbus hospital. So we're going to continue to monitor those. We're seeing certainly an uptick there. John?
Thanks, Governor. And Jack, let's hope that our immunity is broader than what the statistics would indicate that it is right now. But we have tried to have that fine line between, look, here's the best way to protect us. Let's get businesses open. Let's people go back to school. And do it in a way that offers as few mandates as possible, but the best recommendations on how we can actively keep ourselves from spreading the coronavirus, which could lead to some of those restrictions needing to be considered for the future. But on the prevalence study test, we had some changes at the Department of Health. The medical director, we have a new medical director. The new medical director has gone back through with the team to ensure that they're comfortable with the test methodology and practice, and we are moving forward, I've been told, with letters that will go out next week to households, to specific areas, to begin the process of that 30 by 30 antibody testing in Ohio. It's been delayed. I can tell you that I wish it had happened earlier than this. I worked very hard with NetJets and others to get the antibody test from China to us so that we could do more of those kinds of things. That is moving